Are we seeing the end of the 401k? Stay with me. So recently, a paper was published by the Yale Law and Policy Review, and it is called Retiring the 401k, a New Framework for Retirement Savings. And essentially, this paper adds its voice to a cadre of other papers that are basically calling for the end of the 401k plan. Now, I did a whole video on this about 9 months ago on why I, as a financial advisor, absolutely hate the 401k and don't think it makes much sense for retirement savings in the United States. Just to bring everyone up to speed, the 401k was brought about in the 1970s and essentially was started as a deferred comp program for highly compensated employees. It coincided in time with the end of the pension plan among many corporations, so companies in turn adopted the 401k as basically their blanket retirement plan. Now, I'm going to talk about ERISA-based plans in this video, and basically ERISA-based plans are programs that are basically covered under the ERISA Act, like the 401k, 403b, 457, 401a, all these different retirement plans. And they became the default vehicle for retirement savings in the United States. The big problem I have with it is it initially started as a deferred compensation plan for highly compensated employees and was basically reappropriated as the retirement program for the masses. Many Americans don't even have access to a 401k. This paper basically outlines many of the potential benefits of getting rid of the 401k or ERISA-based plans and switching all Americans to a traditional or Roth IRA system. There's also some drawbacks to getting rid of the 401k plan or ERISA-based plan and switching to IRAs. So let's talk through some of these ideas. Getting rid of 401ks and ERISA-based plans would make my life as a financial advisor a lot easier. All these different programs have different provisions, different deadlines, different amounts of money, and every year I receive a phone tree from my company basically outlining the provisions for each and every program, and it is very difficult for me to keep track of exactly what type of retirement account the client has and what the rules and provisions of that retirement account exactly are. Now, I do it because it's my job as a financial professional, but if you're just an average American and you switch jobs and you have a 401k in one job and a 457 in another job, you may not understand exactly what are the differences and what are the provisions between the two programs, and you may unintentionally end up violating rules or creating problems for yourself. So taking out the 401k and all the ERISA-based program and just putting all Americans in a traditional or a Roth IRA would make my job as a financial advisor a lot easier, but would also give Americans a better understanding of the options they have for retirement planning and saving. Next, waiting periods and entry dates would be eliminated. So have you ever started a job and there was a 90-day wait period for you to contribute to the 401k? Now, this is problematic. Let's say you start a job October 1st. You basically have knocked yourself out for contributing for that entire calendar year to that 401k, and you can't start contributing until the following year. This may be very important for Americans, especially older Americans that need every opportunity they can to save for retirement. If everyone just had a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA, they can contribute at their leisure. Basically, there would be no 90-day exclusion or waiting period for someone to start contributing to their retirement account when they began a new job. The end of limited investments. So some 401ks have very limited investment options, and there's nothing really I can do about it as a financial advisor. I've worked with some clients who 401k may have had anywhere from 5 to 7 investments, and none of the investments were really that great. And they had to contribute to that 401k, even though they didn't really have great investment options. They couldn't invest outside of those 5 to 7 really awful funds that were currently in their 401k. If everyone had a traditional or Roth IRA, people would be able to choose the investments they wish to select for their retirement accounts. There's many more investments you can put into an IRA than into a 401k that can be self-managed. So it would end the process of limited investment in 401ks and ERISA-based accounts. End of high fees. So some 401ks have absurdly high fees. I've seen some 401ks where it didn't really quite click to me why the fees were so high or exactly what was happening with this fee money. And to make things worse, this was the person's only option for retirement savings, especially if they wanted that company match to go along with the amount of money that they are investing. Now, not all 401ks or ERISA-based account have high fees. Some have fees that are actually lower than a traditional IRA. But there is a subset of these accounts that have abnormally high fees, and there's just nothing we can do right now at the moment to be able to put the client into a better investment option. Eliminating 401ks and giving everyone a traditional IRA or Roth IRA would give people an option to shop around for different IRAs and find an IRA that fee structure worked for them. So the end of leakage. So when I say leakage, I'm talking about someone who, when rolling over a 401k, instead of putting that money into an IRA account, they pocket that money. Think about someone who's very young, maybe they're 25 or 26, they're leaving a job, they have a 401k with about $2,500 in it. Instead of moving that money to a traditional IRA account, they just pocket the money. They pay the taxes, they pay the penalty. That happens again and again and again, typically when people are younger, and the financial advisors typically call this leakage. Now, this person, when they're 25 and they're pocketing that $2,500, they're not realizing that in 40 years' time, that $2,500 can actually be $25,000. And if you do that enough times, you have enough leakage, it can really jeopardize your retirement savings. If everything is in an IRA, a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA, and you keep that IRA as you change jobs, that really eliminates the need for leakage, and the money just stays in the IRA. And as you go from job to career, the money remains in the same account and doesn't need to move accounts. The end of employer hassle and costs. 401ks or ERISA-based plans, 457s, 403bs, 401as, can be very difficult and expensive to administer from the company's perspective. The reason why companies often don't have retirement plans is because they don't have the resources, the expenses, or the manpower to properly administrate and document the 401k plan. So we're taking all of that hassle, all that fuss and muss off the table by giving every American a traditional and a Roth IRA account and taking it out of the hands of the employer. Now, as a financial advisor, I don't tell people this very often, but I don't like managing 401k plans. They're fussy. They require a ton of paperwork. They require a ton of documentation. It all has to be done correctly and accurately for the IRS. I will do 401k plans for clients, especially my clients who are near and dear to me, but I really don't like doing them very often because they do require a tremendous amount of paperwork and a tremendous amount of effort to set into motion. I think a lot of companies would jump for joy to be able to take that responsibility off their plate and give it to the employee to set up a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA account. This is another one. Inconsistent rules across the ERISA-based plans about loans and repayments. Some of these programs, 401k, 457, 403b, 401a, some of them you can take loans from, some of them you can't. The plans of repayments are wonky. Different rules is a big problem for a lot of ordinary Americans who are dealing with multiple different retirement accounts. Well, eliminating the 401k and ERISA-based plans basically takes care of all of that and brushes it off the table. It says you have a traditional IRA, you have a Roth IRA, those are the only rules that matter. So for those clients who need to take loans or need to have rules of inheritance and things like that, having one set of rules instead of 7 different rule sets for different types of ERISA-based or retirement accounts really makes things a lot easier for the client and also for the financial professional. So let's talk about some potential drawbacks of getting rid of the 401k plan. And this is talked about in the paper, but I think there needs to be more detail on how they would do this. In terms of employee match and employee contributions, like companies typically match and give a percentage and contribute. And the way the paper makes it sound, it would be easy peasy to switch that from the 401k platform to an IRA platform. I think it would be a great deal more complicated than the authors of the paper realize if you're switching from a 401k to an IRA for contributions for a company. A 401k is group managed by an individual or organization. So, HR for my company can go in and see all the 401k plans for all the employees at one swoop across the company. With an IRA account, they're individuals, and it's much harder to do that. It would require the facilitation of new software and some new technology to be able to see that. I just don't think companies making contributions to IRA accounts would be as easy as companies making contributions, matching contributions to 401k. But that's just my personal thought there. Okay, so one thing that really raised the hackle in reading this paper, an area of concern, let's say we did decide to do away with the 401k and we moved everyone into an IRA account. Basically, there would be massive leakage in this process, especially since the process of transferring money out of a 401k to an IRA is not easy in some circumstances. I know in the past few years, there's been a way to digitize the process. When I'm doing a 401k rollover, sometimes I'm still dealing with paper checks. So I think they would have to come up with a way to make this easy peasy and where people were not handling individual paper checks and basically eliminate or severely reduce the opportunity for leakage in the mass transition between 401k to IRA accounts. Roth IRA contribution limits. A lot of people don't contribute to the Roth IRA because they exceed contribution limits. And the contribution limit change every year, but it's a mid six figures, like 160,000 or something. If you earn over that, you can't contribute to the Roth IRA. And I was wondering, it wasn't quite answered in this paper, would they still keep contribution limits on the Roth, or would they just lift that and you can contribute as much money to the Roth IRA as you like? A lot of people do get around the contribution limits by doing backdoor Roths, but it's a little bit complicated to do a backdoor Roth. You can't just do it without proper preparation. But I did have questions. I did have questions about earning limits and Roth IRA contributions in this plan to potentially eliminate the 401k and ERISA-based accounts. Okay, so this is a big reason why this plan to eliminate 401ks and ERISA-based accounts probably won't happen anytime in the near-term future. There is a whole industry, a multi-billion-dollar industry surrounding 401ks and ERISA-based accounts. You have different organizations that manage the 401k. They get a bite of the pie. You have third-party administrators who do their role. They get a bite of the pie. You have all these different people, accountants who work specifically with 401k and ERISA-based programs. You have financial advisors that do nothing but 401k and ERISA-based programs. So there's a multi-billion-dollar industry in operation that would immediately come to a halt if all Americans were expected to operate with an IRA account. And I believe the 401k industry has powerful lobbyists who sit in Washington and basically advocate for their own interests. I don't think the 401k will disappear in the next 4 years with the current administration. I think over time, perhaps. But that's a big thing, is that a multi-billion-dollar industry would evaporate overnight. This is a huge one for me. Someone asked me, well, if they did do away with a 401k or ERISA-based accounts, would you immediately move your money into an IRA? I myself, no, I wouldn't do it. And one thing that people overlook with ERISA-based accounts is that we have lawsuit protection with ERISA-based accounts. You don't have lawsuit protection in an IRA account. Let's say you're sued and you're sued big. This person is going to come in and take everything. If the money is sitting in an IRA account, it's fair game. If it's currently sitting in a 401k or ERISA-based account, it's protected against lawsuits. ERISA-based accounts make sense for some professionals. For example, if I have a client that is a surgeon and it is pretty much guaranteed that at some point in the indefinite future he or she will be sued, we are keeping that money in a 401k. If I have a client who is a lawyer or works in finance, because people who work in finance are sometimes sued, or just works in a field where there's a high degree of litigious issues that can come through at any moment, and you may be a named party in a lawsuit, you best believe we are keeping that money in a 401k or ERISA-based account. And if that changes in the future, or if that goes away, people may lose that lawsuit protection into the future. So there you have it, some changes that are proposed in this paper with the 401k plan. Please go back and watch my video of why, as a financial professional, I don't like 401k plans. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. And if you found this information useful, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.